Imagine one European country controlling India's coastline for 450 years of history, longer than the British. That's the Portuguese story in India. Today, we are covering their full journey in India from 1498 to 1961. Spices, forts, forced conversions, and how it all ended. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we are going to understand the Portuguese arrival in India in a very easy way. Now, I just want to make an announcement that I have started a new series in which I have gonna teach and explain the modern history concepts in very easy way. So do follow my channel for such an amazing content. Let's dive in. Vasco da Gama's voyage and the spice trade. Before the Portuguese spice like paper reached Europe only through Arab and Venetian monopoly, and they charged crazy high tolls. Think of it like a middleman tax on every packet of paper. So, Vasco da Gama's had one code: cut out the middleman. In 1498, Vasco da Gama sailed all the way around from Africa and reached Calicut directly by sea. No tolls, no middleman. Two things backed this mission: the goal, break the spice monopoly and spread Christianity. The main goal of Portuguese was not to build the empire in India, but break the spice monopoly and spread the Christianity religion in India. The legal backing. They signed Treaty of Torcilla in 1494. The Pope divided the non-Christian world between West and Portugal in East, and the result, Vasco da Gama's first trip yielded a massive 60-fold profit. That's not a typo, 60 times the investment. That kind of money is why everyone wanted in next. Now, money like that doesn't stay a secret. Here is the ultimate timeline of how Portugal turned one voyage into a real foothold. In this timeline, we are going to understand how Portuguese came to India and how they established their foothold in India. In 1498, Vasco da Gama lands in Calicut. The local ruler, known as the Jamronian, is unimpressed by cheap gifts of Portuguese, but the trade itself is widely profitable anyway. Then in 1500, Pedro Alvarez Cabral arrives next. Things turn violent then. He clashes with Arab merchants and even bombards Calicut from the sea. Then in 1503, British built their first fort at Cochin, currently Cochin. Then after 2 years of their first fort, they built their second fort or another fort at Cannot, known as Fort Saint Angelo. There, they appointed their first governor to manage the growing empire. This is how the Portuguese Empire came to existed in India. All the masterminds, governors of Portuguese who built their foothold in India. First governor was Francisco de Almeida. His timeline was 1505 to 1509. The core strategies of Francisco was blue water policy, which simply means control the ocean, don't waste time conquering land. He only believed in this policy. He was the first viceroy of the Portuguese rule. He even crushed Egyptian Gujarati navies at the Battle of Diu in 1509. Second governor was Alfonso de Albuquerque. His timeline was 1509 to 15. His main policy was territorial conquest and assimilation. He was also known as the real founder of empire in the Portuguese. Now, what does assimilation means? Assimilation here means the process where a minority group stops using its own culture, language, custom to fully adopt the dominant culture of a larger society. So here was Portuguese was wanted that Indian people stop believing and following their culture, customs, and language and fully adopt the Christianity religion. He captured Goa in 1510, started Casados, intermarriage policy, in which Portuguese men were encouraged to marry local women for building a loyal local population. He also abolished sati system in India. Third one was Nino da Cunha. His timeline was 1529 to 1538. He ruled for a longer period. His core strategy was consolidation and expansion towards northward. What does consolidation means here? So, consolidation simply means that the process of combining, strengthening, and unifying power of territories or laws under single centralized authority. And single centralized authority means the Portuguese government. He shifted capital from Cochin to Goa in 1530 and acquired basin and extortion engine, the cartage system. This is the very important point to remember, so listen carefully. Here, where it gets ruthless. Before the Portuguese, the Indian Ocean was a free trade zone. Any merchant ship could sail anywhere. The Portuguese changed that using their naval superiority, ship mounted cannons, matchlocks that no local trader could match. They introduced something called cartage, basically a paid naval permit. Here, how it worked like a checkpoint. Does the ship have a cartage, paid naval permit? If yes, trade allowed. Portugal gets rich via permit fees. If no, ship confiscated, cargo seized, and member imprisoned or killed. This wasn't really about the trade anymore. It was protection money at sea. That's why I call this slide the extortion engine. What we are going to understand that impact of Portuguese on India, the actual changed Portuguese bring in India. I have split this into three buckets: society and tech, agriculture, and food and technology. Let's understand society and tech first. Portuguese brought the first printing press to Goa in 1556 and also created the casados. I have discussed this in earlier slides that Portuguese men marrying local women to build a loyal local population. Now, the new diet, agriculture. Portuguese brought new world crops that fundamentally changed Indian food. Tomato, potato, cashews, corns, papaya, and chilies. They also introduced grafting to create the famous Alfonso mango. Food technology. Portuguese introduced yeast for leavened bread, pav, cashew nuts, and fermented fanny liquor. So, next time you eat spicy curry with tomato and chili, the flavor didn't exist in India before the Portuguese arrived. That's how big the impact was of Portuguese on India. So, as we know, that everything has two sides. Every coin has two sides. Let's weigh it literally on a scale. On the positive side, there is modernization and exchange, and on the negative pan, there is cruelty and zealotry. On modernization and exchange, there were new agriculture crops that I have discussed in previous slide, military modernization, infantry tactics, ship cannons. They also started their first printing press in India. They built urban infrastructure. What was the negative pan? That the Goa Inquisition, established in 1560, forced conversions into Christianity, destruction of Hindu temples, brutal slave trade, and state sponsored piracy. While they brought modern technology and global crops, their extreme religious intolerance and violent monopolies deeply antagonized local Indian rulers. Now, let's discuss why Portuguese declined in India. The decline of Portuguese rule in India, loss of monopoly. The Dutch and the British arrived in India in 1600 with better organization and utilized Portugal's early naval advantage. Portugal shifted its primary colonizing focus and resources across Atlantic to Brazil, neglecting its Indian territory. Portuguese neglecting their Indian territories and focused more to Brazil, Atlantic to Brazil. The final exit in 1961. While the British left in 1947, Portuguese dictator Salazar stubbornly refused to leave Goa. In December 1961, the Indian military launched Operation Vijay, liberating Goa, Daman and Diu after 450 years of rule. That's how the entire rule of Portuguese came to end in India from 1498 to 1961. That's why it often called as the first come and the last go European in India. So let's do a lightning recap so this actually slide in your memory. 1498 Vasco da Gama arrives, breaks the Arab wait in spice monopoly. 1505 to 1538, three governors built empire. They introduced the cartage system, gifts to India, printing press, new crops, dark side, forced conversion, slave trade, Goa Inquisition, and then in 1961, Operation Vijay ends 450 years of rule. So that's all about the Portuguese rule in India. If you think that this lecture is helpful for you, so please subscribe to my channel, hit the like button, and comment down what you like most about this channel and what are your suggestions so that I can improve this. Thank you so much for your support. We will meet with such an amazing content next time. Till then, for thank you so much.